Israel has the right to defend itself, but he also is very concerned about the situation in Gaza right now, and believes that there needs to be humanitarian assistance sent to Gaza, which was part of the reason why he voted against the bill yesterday, because the standalone bill in the House did not include humanitarian assistance. I'm not going to say how he will vote on any bill that might come to the House in the future, because we don't know what that bill would be yet. So he would need to look at that bill to determine whether or not he would support it.
Could I just ask a clarifying question? So when you say defend itself for Israel, are you thinking of bombing tens of thousands of civilians, including, what are we up to now, over 10,000 children? Do you think of that as defensive? I would think of that as offensive. And I would think of it as war crimes. Do you think he thinks that murdering tens of thousands of children is a war crime or defense?
So when I say defend itself, I mean defend itself against Hamas.
Well, I understand, but babies are not members of Hamas. I'm pretty positive.
No,
And if you map the population centers over where they've targeted the bombs, it totally matches. They're purposely targeting civilian population centers. That's not defensive, right? Do you think that he's aware of that?
I do think he's aware of what is happening in the region.
And would he call that defensive?
I don't
So,
Would you call it defensive?
I don't want to speak from my own views, because I am not a member of
Okay.
Congress.
Well, if you don't think it's defensive, if you could share your opinion with your congressperson, that would be great, because otherwise we're all being complicit in mass murder.
So let me just to clarify. The best phrase I can think of is it's disingenuous. I'm not saying it's about you.
I hear you.
It's disingenuous for the congressman to repeat what Senator Murray just said yesterday. She said two things. Everyone starts out with Israel has the right to defend itself. That's not the question. If Israel had the right to defend itself, October 7th wouldn't have happened. That's number one. After October 7th happened, which was a really once in a 100-year event, there were ways that they could bolster their border. The Israelis could put it down and pick them up. When, for 30 years, Britain was bombed 200 times, with the response by Britain to quote defend themselves and bomb. I mean, this is just a no-go. To be saying this is just and you're seeing to your constituents. So that's one. Two, the issue of funding for aid is a complete red herring. Here's why. Patty Murray, if the Senate bill passes in whatever form, it specifically prevents any monies from going to UNRWA. That's the only organization that can actually deliver aid inside the territory. Number one. Number two, $14 billion for bombs and munitions to Israel. $10 billion, not for Gaza, $10 billion for aid to Ukraine, for Ukraine, Gaza, and finally. So we're going to be giving 3, 4, 5 times as much theoretical aid as we are money to destroy. And then we will actually strip out of that bill any needs to deliver. So one thing that would be helpful is just not to pretend like we're idiots.
I certainly don't think
No,
you're an idiot.
but I'm just saying. I know in part you're repeating the talking points, but this is 5 months in. It's insulting to tell people to start out by saying Israel has a right to defend itself. I'm Jewish. I have family and friends in Israel. I think a lot of people here do. This is not defending. This is actually threatening the life of my family. So I just wish we could take that off the table and then start asking the question, why 5 months into this, when well over 30,000 people, why are we still repeating this? Israel has
Is the congressman aware of what proportion of homes in northern Gaza have been destroyed by Israel's campaign?
Do I know if he's aware of that specific statistic? I don't know, but he has been.
It is 70%.
He has been briefed on what is going on in the region. In
Okay.
Gaza specifically, what's going on in Gaza, would include what is
To your knowledge, has the congressman been briefed that 4 out of 5 of the hungriest people in the world are currently in Gaza right now?
Say it again.
Has the congressman been briefed that 4 out of 5 of the hungriest people in the world are currently in Gaza right now?
Again, I don't know specifically the statistic, but he does know about the hunger that is going on in Gaza.
We will actively campaign against him if he votes against it. If he votes actively.
I'm on the official side. I can't speak to electoral politics.
But just to clarify for you and for everyone here, the only bill that has a possibility of coming before the House and getting voted on, the only bill is going to be the bill that they're voting on now in the Senate, which strips out all the border and immigration stuff and just leaves funding for Ukraine and Israel. But it includes a complete prohibition on any funds going to UNRWA. So we would like to know what the representative's position would be on that. Because if what you just said to us was honest, from the representative, if it was honest, and if the reason he didn't vote for the bill yesterday in the House,
That's not the only reason. It's one of the reasons.
well, then it's going to be a little bit hypocritical for him to then vote on a Senate version, which basically strips out funding.
I'm not going to speak to how he's going to vote because I do not know how he's going to vote. So I don't want to give you misinformation. That's not me trying to stonewall you. That is
Right. No, I get it.
me wanting to make sure that I don't give you inaccurate information. What I can tell you is that I will tell Representative Larsen that we met with you. I will tell him what you have said to me and that you would like him not to vote for that bill when it comes into consideration in the House.
Well, we'd like, here's what we'd like, is not to vote for anything that's giving offensive weaponry to Israel at this point, because it's only being used to kill more civilians. I mean, let's think about one thing. The United Nations, the health ministry in Gaza has provided the actual IDs and names. So this is not debatable about how many people are killed. What is debatable is how many people
This is a staff
are
person from Rick
theoretically
Larson's office.
are theoretically Hamas, right? Israel claims they've killed 9,000 Hamas. If you do the math and you take out the women and you take out people under 18, according to Israel, every single human being they killed who's male and over 18 is a Hamas terrorist, which just beggars belief. It's just an absurd.
Not possible.
So, going back to the statement, Israel is defending itself, that doesn't make sense because all they're killing is Israel. So, here's the question we would like the representative to answer. How many avoidable deaths, whether it's through bombing or disease or hunger or poor sanitation or whatever, how many is acceptable? At what point does it cross the line where he says no? Is it going to be 50,000? Is it going to be 100,000? What's the number? Because that is where we're headed. So that's the question we would like to ask.
Let him know that.
Okay.
Another thing is if you could also tell him that we would really like for him to be pressuring Biden to refund UNRWA, because otherwise it will literally be on the hands of everyone who could have made a difference when hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Palestinians die of starvation and disease. And what is your name?
My name's Jessica.
Jessica, hi. So also, I know you can't talk to us about your opinion, but I know you can talk to the representative about your opinion. And if you believe in doing everything you can to prevent mass murder and starvation and disease of civilians, then you will do everything you can to convince the person you're working for. And if you don't, then you're complicit also, like we would be if we weren't here right now.
We don't know what else to do. We've been calling, we've been emailing. we don't know what else to do.
And again, this is not, you know, we're not asking for our favorite colors to be part of the flag. This is not.
I know. It's very serious.
But I mean that is the response, not just from your office. We get it from the senator's office and other representatives. Is thank you for sharing.
But this is like an emergency. We're trying to save hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of lives.
How many more kids have to die before we stop giving Netanyahu a blank check to kill them?
Every 10 minutes, another child is murdered in Gaza with our money.
I mean, I wish I had more to tell you, and that I all I can really do is tell you what his position is, and so I can't promise that he's going to change his position. I can't promise how he will vote.
Right.
Well, at the minimum, we would actually like to talk to him and understand his rationale. You know, and have a serious conversation that goes beyond the nonsense PR. Israel has to defend itself. We want aid to go to Gaza, although we're going to prevent aid from going to Gaza, but we want aid to go to Gaza. I mean, we have to get beyond that. So we would respectfully request, you know, whether it's a video meeting or
I'll make sure that I request it.
is anyone up in the senator's offices?
I don't know. They sometimes work from home. There's only one staff member that works in both of the offices, and they work from home a lot. So
In both.
Cantwell and Murray share a
well,
staffer?
no, they have a different staff. They each have one.
Each one has
Oh,
one.
okay.
And they work from home a lot of the time, so I don't actually know if there's anyone up there right now.
So Howard gave you one of our requests, which is for us to be able to meet with Larsen and hear his opinion and talk about it. But the other request I would have is just, I know you can't tell us this, but I'm just asking you as a human being to commit within your own heart to do everything you can to move him to stop the murder. So that you can be doing the right thing, you as an individual human being.
Okay. So just to make sure that I have all the messages from Representative Larsen, you're requesting a meeting with him, and that is for the Seattle, if not now.
Yes.
And you are asking that he not support the Senate bill, but if it comes to the House, you are requesting that he not send any offensive military aid to Israel, and you're requesting that money that goes through UNRWA is able to go to UNRWA for humanitarian aid to Gaza. Is there anything else?
No, that's pretty good.
Yep.
A ceasefire
Well,
now.
Ceasefire.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yes.
The citizens are kettled in Rafah right now, and they are being heavily shot at as we speak.
Yeah, they made everybody go to Rafah, and now they're killing them there. That's what they've been doing consistently, is tell people go where it's going to be safe, and then once they're concentrated in the next area, they just focus their violence there.
Netanyahu's made it clear that he has no intention of ever establishing a Palestinian state on that land, which is against everything that Biden has ever said.
Maybe just also one.
Yeah, you can.
The irony is absolutely crippling. That when it comes to giving bombs to Israel, and we know they're committing human rights. We know that. We have video from just yesterday of them torturing a naked prisoner from Gaza. We know that they use white phosphorus. We know that, right? International Criminal Court has said there's a basis for genocide allegations. Okay, so we know that. And yet, despite knowing that, we're going to give bombs to Israel. But when it comes to aid, we find out that possibly, and now we find out that the evidence is really non-existent, but possibly 12 out of 13,000 UNRWA workers might have done something with Hamas. And instantly we cut off money to UNRWA. How is that even, like, what's the logic?
after UNRWA had fired many of those people and is conducting their own internal investigation into it as well.
But actually, Channel 4, BBC, not BBC, in the UK, Channel 4 just day before yesterday, on Monday, actually got the evidence that Israel submitted, and it's basically nothing.
Right.
But even if it was true,
Propaganda.
12 out of 13,000, and instead of saying we'll investigate first and then decide what happens with the aid, cut off aid. But when it comes to bombing people, yes, you're committing atrocities, yes, you're committing genocide, yes, you're committing war crimes, but here's more munitions with which to do it. How does this make sense?
Because Palestinian lives aren't worth as much as Jewish lives. And as a Jew, I find that horrible.
So maybe that's the other question we would like. I get that we can't have him, swear to do something that we're asking. But I would like those two questions answered. One, where does he draw the line? How many tens and tens of thousands of people have to die before he says enough? That's
Oh, maybe
one
it's
question.
millions.
Or millions. Second question is, how can he justify taking action against UNRWA when the evidence isn't in, although when it comes to the evidence being in for Israeli war crimes, he's willing to give them more money?
I'll pass it along. Alright, well, I appreciate you guys coming out and making your voices heard. I will make sure that Representative Larsen hears your voices. And
We have a leaflet we can give you also. Somebody
Sure.
have a copy of that?
I was saying it'd be nice to get a reply, but
if somebody gives me contact info, I can send it.
Okay, I'll-
Is our email on there?
No, but I'll give you mine there.
Could also just give you our email address if you want.
Well, let me.
We appreciate you taking the time and coming out and talking to us. Thank you.
No worries. I'm glad to do so even. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Have a good day,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.